Hi, I'm Summer McStravick, and welcome to Money Intuition, where we get to explore the minds and the thinking of some really successful women who've used both their intuition and their know-how to create sustainable, financially abundant, and self-created lives. Today, I have a wonderful guest with me, someone I am getting to know, so I have so many questions for her. Her name is Skaletski Boyd, and she's affectionately called the corporate woo-woo, which I'm going to dig into. I love that. She's a speaker, a transpersonal hypnotherapist. She uses her intuitive and her empathic gifts to shift the energies of her clients. And I'm looking to ask you a lot of things. One, what you do. Did you do it for yourself? How you got into this field? How other women who are watching this and men right now can look to you as sort of a model that they could follow. So let's start right off the bat with Miss Corporate Woo Woo and say hi. Hi, Michelle.
Namaste. I just love that word. My business, as you mentioned, and thanks for the great introduction. Soul felt words. Just words are so energetic, and there's so much energy behind words. And I always greet people with namaste just because that word just resonates. And for those of you who are watching and don't know, it just means the spirit in me honors the spirit in you. So thank you, Summer, for having me here.
Oh, you're welcome, welcome, welcome. So where did corporate woo woo come in then? I mean, I know the namaste and woo woo part go together. And believe me, namaste is my yoga class. So
Well, I actually worked in the corporate field for a little over 20 years. And then part of my journey working up in the kind of building up into the corporate ladder, one of which I got a chance to be with a Fortune 500, I was approached by I guess at the time he would have been like a director for a college, a community college. Yeah. And he had suggested that I start teaching some classes. And so I became an adjunct instructor. And as I was teaching classes, I actually learned a lot about teaching techniques. And I had been doing training in the corporate world and got to know a little bit. And so my corporate background is really why I call myself the corporate side. And then the woo-woo side kind of just fell into place because I've always had these gifts of intuition, and I've always been able to communicate with the afterlife, and I've always been really in tune with my angels and my guardians and being able to have direct conversations with source that I call God. Right. And so what was really interesting was one day I was speaking for the college, and I had to stand up and let people know who I was. And I thought, I really just need to put myself out there. I cannot be afraid anymore. I have to do this, even if people think I'm silly. And I just stood up there and I said, I'm the corporate woo-woo. And I call myself that because I'm a little bit business-minded and I'm a little bit out there. And there was about 70 people in the audience and a lot of chamber members and business people. And they all started applauding. And I thought, this is it.
Wow.
That's my title. So that's how it came to be.
Oh, I love that. But you know what I love about it most is that it was a moment of recognition. It was. That I don't have to not be one and not be the other. Yes. They come together. Yes. And they're both of me. And that's, I think, something that a lot of women and people struggle with. They want to fit into one role. They want to do things the right way and get their retirements and climb their ladders or just even... And then there's another part of them that is very different, and they keep it under wraps. They keep it under wraps in themselves, but they also keep it under wraps in the rest of their life. They think, I could never have a business around that. That couldn't be all of me. But you've melded the two together. How did you get started? I mean, how did you move out of corporate and into this?
I was actually really encouraged by my husband. He really thought that it would be beneficial for me, and we were making a big move at the time. We were moving from the Midwest out to Montana, and he said, why don't you do this? You've been doing training, you've been doing adjunct teaching. Take it, and rather than make other people so much money, why don't you just do it on your own? Yeah. And I said, okay. And I've told the story before, but I'll kind of simplify it. As they say, when you jump, the net appears. And I jumped, and the net appeared, but it was flat on the sidewalk. and I am not kidding you, it was just a total, slam in my face, because I had to put myself out there, and I was not really prepared. It was my husband's dream, and it sort of started with that foundation, and I really appreciated the fact that he believed in me, but I didn't believe in myself at the time. And so the net showed up, but it was really painful when I jumped into it.
Really?
So it wasn't until about 5 years into the business, honestly, that I really had enough tools built up, confidence within myself, felt like this is something that I could do before my business took off. Mm-hmm. And I know that your theme is money-centered.
Yeah.
And as you know, because we've had these discussions before, everything is energy, everything is flow, and you teach about that.
Yes.
And so the whole entire piece about flow has everything to do with your energy centers. Some people call them your chakras. And if you're not in flow with yourself, if you're not in a place where you really feel confident with who you are and what your message is and how to deliver that, then what you're doing is you're creating what I would say is kind of like dams for yourself. I would say you're damming yourself, and it's self-sabotage. And I kept doing that again and again. I was so afraid of what other people would think about me. I was such a people pleaser at the time. Yeah. I really wanted, people to appreciate me and to approve of me, most importantly. Yeah. And to go from the corporate world and to go into the woo-woo side was so difficult. And so the story that I just told about how my title came into being and how I stepped up on stage in front of everyone, that didn't happen until 5 years into the business. Yeah. Prior to that, I was just really like, who am I? What am I doing? What's my message? And I hid a lot behind the mask of who I once was. Mm-hmm. And it's not until you actually put yourself out there fully and completely in a way that you just say, I love me. And because I love me, I accept me, and I appreciate me in every single way, every aspect. I love my gifts, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is, right? Yeah. When you get to that place and someone else criticizes you, the ego's going to feel the pain, but your higher self is going to say, it's okay, love yourself anyway, and keep going. Yes. So hopefully that helps some people out there that are, in that place of struggle a little bit. Until you can become true to yourself, the money will really be resistant, because you're resistant of who you are. Yes.
Okay, so you kind of just rephrased another way I've been talking about this whole event, which is self-growth equals financial growth.
Yes.
Usually it's not the other way around. And I think particularly, this is why I'm really loving talking with you today, because you're very into the woo-woo world, as I am. Mm-hmm. We have to embrace and accept another layer almost, which is I'm spiritual and I'm financially successful. And those things are not in contradiction. Because if you want me to be spiritual and poor and struggling, then I will never be able to share my gifts with the world. It's like it's a mindset change, and I'm seeing it slowly change over time, but you obviously probably had to encounter that too.
Yes, not only that, and the other thing that you talk about a lot, kind of tying into that, is you talked about kind of the struggle piece and the relationship piece with yourself. First and foremost, because I know you talk about relationships a lot, it's the relationship with yourself first and foremost. And so my vision and my purpose and my mission was always from day one to serve other people. Mm-hmm. However, I was going to do it kind of like without serving myself first. It doesn't work that way, because money and energy and message all flows through you first. That's part of the giving and the receiving. So in order for you to give your message and your purpose and your mission and to fulfill it, you have to first serve yourself. And so it all comes down to relationship with yourself. I don't know if you're ready for this yet, but I feel intuitively like maybe I should just go there. But
okay.
It really all has to do with your chakras, and it all has to do with your lower chakras in particular. People say as above, so below. Well, it's the same thing with the chakras. The heart chakra is the center of your being. It's the center of who you are. Right. And so the above chakras kind of match the below chakras. And so focus first on your below chakras. And a lot of people, when they first begin, if they have any type of issues, it's all about safety, survival. Am I going to be okay? Is somebody going to make fun of me? Am I going to put myself out there and be judged, right? And so you have to first work on those types of things, as well as your relationship with money, with yourself, which is the second chakra, and then also the self-identity. The who am I? How do I want to come across to other people? How can I be true to myself and put myself out there, which is the third chakra. So it's really like going through and first dissolving all of your fears and all of those chakra areas, and then rebuilding them in a way that you feel strong and safe about the foundation. Again, root chakra, first chakra. Going in and feeling safe about how it is that you have a relationship with other people. Some people call it your tribe. I call it my soul felt family. Really just allowing that to occur. And then the third chakra stuff, which is really being able to have your esteem, your value, your worth, which was all rebuilt for me. It took a long time, but it's here, and here I am. And so that's why and how money has started flowing into my life and why my business has taken off. I finally got to that point, but it did take a lot of inner work, and it takes a lot of depth and a lot of willingness to look. And a lot of people don't want to look. They're comfortable blaming other people or staying in what I call victim mentality. They don't want to go there and look. Well, if you want to be successful and you want to be true to yourself, and some people have a lot of money, but they're not happy. Other people are really happy and they don't have a lot of money. If you want to be in flow and you want to be balanced and you want to have that centeredness, you have to look deep within. You have to allow, and then the giving and the receiving equals out.
Yes. Yes. I can't agree with you more. I'm like, in my mind, yes. I'm thinking about my chakras as you're speaking. I'm like, yeah, I think that one's doing pretty good. Oh, that one needs a little work. But I agree. When you mentioned the victim mentality thing, that's one of those trigger words for a lot of people, right? Because everyone else is the victim. I'm never a victim. I'm never a victim. What are you talking about? I think for me, that was one of the biggest lessons in my growth, personal growth and business growth. You never recognize you're in victim mentality. You sort of stumble upon the awareness, because no one's going to embrace, not very many people will embrace that awareness of themselves. But you can see it if you look for it in the way you behave in certain situations. And I think the way you behave in situations with money and cash flow is a beautiful way to show you where you're giving away your power, where you're allowing that victim mentality in. Right? And you can continuously work through that and grow through that. That's why for women, especially, having your own business or doing your own thing is an amazing way to grow. Yes.
Absolutely. And it took me until year 5 before I started paying myself. So that also goes along with what you were saying, right? I was so giving whatever money I had, I gave, and I kept justifying it. I'm giving back to the business. I'm giving back to the business. Okay, that's okay. However, every single possible money guru out there, and I knew this, says you have to pay yourself first. I never did. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I started paying myself. And as soon as I started paying myself, the money just kept coming. It kept coming because my self-esteem was there. My self-worth was there. My value was there again. And I believed in myself to the point where you just trust the energy. It's so similar to an ocean. And I know everybody uses this analogy, but it truly is you're standing there, and some days you feel that wave come in and you can just feel the rivulets of energy around your feet, and you can smell that salt in the air, and you know that it's there. And then there are other days where it's like the woman out at sea waiting, like, where's my lover, right? And it kind of feels like that some days, but you have to have that same faith and that same hope as that woman. I know he's there. I can feel it. He's there. I can feel he's going to return to me. It's that same energy. It's that same feeling. And so when you stand there and you're really in the flow, it's that same energy, as though the money, as though the flow, as though the rivulets are still around your ankles, as though you're still smelling it, as though it's all occurring. It's that same feeling. The moment that you let that feeling go and you start to move into worry, that's when you put up an obstacle, you block yourself, and you're no longer in flow. You're kinking off your flow.
Right. Yes. I just want to jump up like I'm in church. Hallelujah, sister. So, kicking off your flow, you're like, oh, you're talking my talk. You're in my world. I know why, too, because you're empathic. So you're going to match me, and I'm going to match you, and then you're going to match me, and we're going to be like, wait, who's Michelle? Who's Summer?
You got it. We're seeing the God in each other, girl. It's great.
Funny. Okay, so if I know that all the things you're talking about are things you've gone through, you've experienced as you were building your growth in yourself. Now you turn around and you work with other people to help them to do this. That's one of your many jobs that you can do. You're also like me. We can do a lot of different things, but we pick which ones interest us the most that we want to do. Do you work with people in their prosperity? Do you help them find it? I know you help people find their inner truth. Yes. And that's got to be similar.
Yes, and it's not so much, people don't necessarily come to me and say, I want to make more money. But what happens is a lot of clients who work with me, they're at a turning point. They're at a place where they're retiring, or their job's just wearing on them, or they just were laid off or something like that. And they're really looking for where it is that they fit in. So they want to have a better understanding of their soul purpose, their soul path. And so a lot of what you and I are talking about today, because money is housed in those lower chakras, in your power center, in the core of who you are, a lot of people are giving their power away. And when you give your power away by caring too much about what other people think, or living in fear, or a lot of people that are attracted to me, they've just gone through grief, they've lost somebody in their life, and now they're really struggling with identity. It's really the same. It's the same energy. When your relationship to yourself and to everything around you is lessened because you give your power away, then again you're kinking off your flow, because your power center, your money, your creativity, your imagination, your intuition, all of that is housed in the same energy center, the same chakra. So you and I are speaking the same language. People don't necessarily come to me for prosperity, for money, for abundance. However, it does open all those centers up, and before you know it, they're telling me, oh my gosh, I just landed the perfect job, or I just met the best guy or the best girl, or, now all of a sudden my life is completely changed. Thank you so much. And I say, thank you, because you did the inner work.
Yeah. You're reminding me of a conversation I had earlier today with somebody, who was saying she was really finally understanding the concept of abundance. And abundance is, gosh, it's one of those overused words right now. Abundance. Yeah, it's like almost like it's lost its meaning. But she was realizing there's men coming in, there's work coming in there. She says it's just like it's coming in from everywhere. And she says things I'm not even focusing on, it's coming in. And we were talking that, yes, abundance is an actual energy. You open the doors to it, it's going to find the path of least resistance into your life. So the places you're most resistant, it's not going to come as easily. The places it's easy, there's going to pile in. Your job is to try and correct the paths. And it sounds like that's kind of what you do. You help people correct the paths into them. So it's coming in everywhere.
Yes. And that being said, you just talked about resistance. So I feel like that's a good segue to mention that it's really important. And people, I know they've heard this if they followed the law of attraction, and people that are attracted to this call, it's most likely they've heard the law of attraction. It's all about that piece of resistance. So you can get yourself worked up to the point where you set like these tremendous goals for yourself, be it money goals or meeting the perfect mate or having the perfect job. And if you attach yourself to it way too much, where you become like completely obsessed with it, then again, you're getting in your own way. That's self-sabotage. That's why people say, let go and let God. Let the God within you, your higher self, let it do its work. And so you can set the intention, just as I was talking about being in that ocean and you're smelling it, you're feeling it, you're imagining it, and you're holding that feeling and maintaining it, regardless of circumstances of what's going on. You continue to believe and trust, right? And of course, we're human, and so there might be days that we're like, right? But then we just move ourselves back, and then everything will be okay. What happens, however, is if we start getting attached to the how, And this is, again, a lot of spiritual teachers talk about this, but this is really important, especially for people that are attracted to the summit. If you get attached to the amount of money, and this is just one example, let's say that your attachment is, I'm going to make $5,000 a month. Okay? If you get attached to that amount, that you might be getting in your own way, because maybe the universe wants you to have $10,000 a month.
Right.
So don't get attached to the how. It's really important because, again, you're kinking off the flow.
Yeah.
Allow yourself. So how I do it is and everybody's different, but this really works for me because.
Like for a business goal. Pretend you're going to do a business goal for everybody out there who's like, okay, I've got a career goal.
All right. So when I worked for the nation's largest privately held telecommunications company, it was all about attrition and retention numbers. And if you had really high retention and low attrition, then you could win all these awards. Mm-hmm. And I was really, really good at this. And why I was so good at this is because I had everything like on my desk. I was looking at it every single day, and money loves attention. Mm-hmm. Numbers love attention. So you want to look at it, you want to have your visuals, you want to be part of the flow, you want to be imagining it. And then when you do that, when you get there, what I do is I imagine, because it's heart chakra, I imagine green, and money's green. I imagine the green stream, the green flow, as though I'm giving out my desires to the universe, to God. I just imagine it flowing. And then I detach myself from it and I say thank you. Yes. And I send gratitude, knowing that whatever is happening for greatest and highest good. And that's where self-trust comes in. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't done the work on the lower chakra with trust, which is your first chakra, right. If you have trust issues where you fear safety or you fear like somebody's going to be out to get you, or watch out because you're not holding that vibration. That's why in the very beginning of this talk, I talked about the importance of take down all the walls of the chakras that are damaged and start again. Right. So for me, it was so necessary for me to rebuild that literally my husband and I, because I mentioned we went from the Midwest to Montana, literally we had a home, we had cars, we had pets. Literally what happened is when I made these intentions, the universe knocked everything down. The house was gone. We had to sell our vehicles. It got to the point where I remember one day looking at my husband and saying, do I sell my wedding band? Because everything around us disappeared. Everything started disappearing. And the reason why I needed to go through that, and I'm not saying everybody does, is because I needed to understand this lesson that I'm teaching right now. Is you have to be able to work through every single one of your fears, your worries, your victim mentality stuff, all of it. Whether you EFT tap, whether you do some type of a release, visualization, whatever it is you do, it's very important that when you start over, you rebuild your foundation from the root chakra up. Right. And you start with a foundation that you feel safe in, that you feel solid in, and then you can build your relationships, your self-esteem, your value, your self-worth around that. Mm-hmm.
Michelle, I think that's actually an ongoing process. You build it once, you get to a certain level, and then you realize, why am I hanging out at this level? And then you have to build it all again.
You got it. It's just like a house of cards, baby. Except for hopefully you built it in such a way that they're not going to come crumbling down, and that if for some reason that one top house, for whatever reason, let's say it was built with a little bit of uncertainty, when it comes down, everything below it still remains.
Right. So in that way, you can kind of, I use the word go bigger, but it means that you've got that foundation. Now you're ready to start building a little bit more and moving a little bit more. Yes. And it seems like that's what you've also done in your business, your life. You have a very full practice of people, you teach, you speak, and I really wonder what that woman 5 years ago was like, who was still, because I think that feeling of being an authority, women again, we can tend to lack that unless somebody else bestows it on us. If someone else, like corporate, says, you're an authority, then I'm an authority. You gave that to me. I'll take that title. But when you're on your own and you are becoming an authority, it's a whole different ballgame. And that's what stops a lot of healers, especially people in those arts, from owning it, right?
And what's interesting is when you're in a corporate world or, blue collar, whatever it is, whatever setting you're in, when you're giving your power away by allowing someone else to tell you whether or not you're entitled to have a certain,
raise,
all of a sudden a raise,
bonus,
or
blah, blah, blah.
Right? Again, you're giving your power away. You don't realize it. Your self-esteem is being built on the opinions of someone else.
Yes.
And when you get out on your own, it's like, I
don't have that sounding board anymore. Oh my God, what am I?
Yeah. Other than why are the clients not coming in, and how am I going to pay my overhead and my expenses, let alone myself, and so it's so very valuable for anyone that's in the corporate setting right now, still in the business world, to remember that whether you are seated in the seat that you are now, or whether or not you're going out on your own and you're doing something similar to what you and I do, Summer, it really doesn't come, your self-esteem, your identity, the money, it doesn't come from little self anyway. It comes from your God self. It comes from higher power. So many times we get stuck in ego and we think that, our paycheck determines our value, determines our worth. Or this conversation, if I got caught up in how do I look, my appearance, or what am I going to say, or that's all little ego stuff.
Right.
And right now I'm in a place and I'm maintaining this, and this is what I do with my clients, is you remember it's not you. It's not about you. It's about the higher message. It's about allowing God's source to speak through you so that you can serve others. That's who you are. That's what gives you your inner power. That's what brings back your core, your value, your self-esteem. That's what flow is.
Oh, Michelle, we speak the same language. What you're saying again, it's like I keep thinking, yes, that's what I'm telling myself. Just get over yourself, Summer. Just get over. Whenever I go into that small, insecure place, I go, get over yourself. And then I go, oh, okay. And then that allows me just to do whatever it is I have to do and take a risk and, trust.
Yes.
And I think we all, I can't believe how fast this has gone. We are well past where my supposed limit is for these. So before we go, people who want to reach out and hear more of your amazing wisdom and how they can work with their chakras, how you can help them on so many ways, or just learn about your work.
Sure.
They can go to soul-felt.com, which you should see right there on the screen in front of you. And you have a little present for everybody that we can also try and get more of a feel for you. Do you want to share that?
Yes. So I love to write, and all my stories are short stories. They're all short spiritual stories. And as a gift for people that are watching this, what it is it's a really powerful story that brings you into the vibrational frequency of being out of flow, and then it moves you into the vibrational frequency of flow when it comes to money, when it comes to currency. Okay. And so it starts out with a black cat, because black cats are kind of auspicious, right? And we're kind of maybe not so sure about them sometimes. And this black cat comes into this character's life and teaches her some very, very valuable lessons in terms of the energy of money, which will be extremely helpful to the readers who read it, because it will help them be able to move themselves and align themselves back into their own abundance, their own prosperity.
I have to read it now. One, because I like cats, and two, because I like what you say. All right, Michelle, thank you so much for being here today and taking time out of your life to talk with me and to share with all of us and being part of it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for creating this space and for everything that you do, Summer. Namaste.
Namaste, too.